Okay, in today's video we are comparing the ZTE Majesty to the Moto G. Both of these phones are straight talk, of course. And the reason why we're comparing these two phones is that they essentially have very similar specs and they cost about the same. I think last time I looked, the Majesty was actually a little bit more expensive than the Motorola. The Motorola is a relatively new device to straight talk. I think it's only been out for them maybe about a month or so, while the Majesty has been out for straight talk for a little while now. One of the things that I will comment right from the start is the fact that if you're looking for a quality device, then you can't go wrong with the Motorola. This phone's got a lot of high-end features despite the fact that it's actually cheaper than the ZTE. One notable feature that you don't get on the ZTE is the fact that the Moto G here comes with a Gorilla Glass screen. The ZTE is not Gorilla Glass, it's standard plastic screen. So I think you'll find that this one's going to be quite more durable, particularly if you have kids and they mess around with your phone, or if you're prone to dropping, then I think you'll find that the Motorola is going to be a lot more durable. That aside, again, as I said, all the features are essentially more or less the same. Both of these come with 1.2 gig processors. The Motorola here is advertised as being quad-core. I'm not sure what the processor is on the Majesty other than 1.2 gig, so that may or may not be a difference. Performance-wise, I will tell you that the Motorola is a bit faster, so do keep that in mind. Another item here to talk about is the fact that the Majesty comes with Android 4.1, so it's a little bit older Android version than the Motorola, which comes with 4.3. So 4.1, 4.3 on the Motorola. Now, as far as design goes, I find the Motorola to be a little bit more sophisticated. As you can see, the Majesty is a little bit more clunky. As you can see, the battery cover has this nice curved design to it, which you'll find on some of the higher end phones, while the Majesty here is fairly, blocky, if you will. It's flat on the back and does not have that curve to it, so it just doesn't look like a quality device like the Motorola here does. Other than that, as far as the design goes, everything is laid out very similarly on these phones. On the Majesty here, you have the volume on the left, the lock/power button on the right, the headphone jack on the top, the charge port on the left, while on the Motorola here, of course, you got the same, more or less same location on the headphone jack, and then both the power/lock on the right hand side and the charge port on the bottom. Another difference that you'll find on the design is the buttons. On the Majesty, you find the typical Android button layout here at the bottom of the screen. These are capacitive touch, of course, just like pretty much all the other fairly new Android phones. They do light up. This phone does have a light sensor, so when it's dark, the buttons will light up. The Motorola, on the other hand, does not have those capacitive touch buttons at the bottom. Instead, they're kind of built into the operating system, as you can see, so they're kind of part of the screen, if you will. And one of the downsides to that is the fact that you do lose a little bit of screen real estate when you watch a YouTube video, for example. And there may or may not be a setting to deal with that. I'm not sure. I haven't looked. I don't think there is. But as you can see, despite the fact that this phone is advertised as being 4.5 inches on the screen, you do lose a little bit at the bottom. So if you were actually to measure this, you'll find that this is more of a 4-inch screen device, because you do lose that little bit of real estate. So as far as the screen goes, the Majesty has a larger screen because you don't have that situation there. So when you're watching a video on the Majesty, for example, you get the full 4.5 inches, as you can see. Now another item where the Majesty is better, I guess, is the fact that the Majesty has a removable battery, just like pretty much all the other low-cost Androids out there. It's also got the SD port, so you can put in there up to 32 gigs of storage if you needed that much. It comes already with 4 gigs out of the box from Straight Talk. While the Motorola here, you get 8 gigs, and that's all you get. So it does not have an SD card for you to expand the storage. Another interesting thing on this phone is the fact that the battery is not removable. So it says battery not user removable. So the battery is actually built into the phone. You cannot replace it when it dies. And as you can see, there is no SD card on this phone. You get 8 gigs, and that's all you get. So that's one downside to the Motorola. And lastly, the other difference between these two phones is the fact that the Majesty here is a CDMA phone, meaning that it will be activated with either Verizon or Sprint, while the Motorola here is a GSM phone, meaning that it'll be activated with AT&T. Guess I forgot to mention the cameras. Both of them are 5 megapixel, both of them have LED flashes, and both of them have front-facing cameras of about 1 megapixel or so. That about covers it on these two phones. If you're looking at this in terms of quality, then you're definitely going to want the Motorola, because it's built to be a quality device. You get that Gorilla Glass screen, and this just all around has a better look feel to it. If the fact that you don't get an expandable SD card on the Motorola, the fact that it only has 8 gigs, if that bothers you, then you probably want to go with the Majesty, which is not a bad phone. It's just not quite the same quality as the Motorola here. And of course, another obvious difference is the carriers. Of course, if you have better Verizon coverage in your area, then of course you probably will want to go with the Majesty. And I think I forgot to mention the data speeds, which is, I guess, worth talking about. And that's the fact that the Motorola is advertised as being 4G, which is not the same as LTE. So it's not the super fast data that you'll get on LTE, but it may or may not be a little bit faster than 3G. It's actually considered to be enhanced 3G. So as you can see, the box says 4G, but it isn't LTE. Whereas the Majesty is just standard 3G speeds.